on our side, the fantasy MVP, Matthew Berry, I think it's Jackson Smith in Jigba.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Look, he's the wide receiver 2 on the season, but more importantly about where he drafted. He's drafted like around the 5th round. He's been so consistent as well.
Joe, in the Premier League, I've got a pretty good idea who the MVP is in fantasy, but would you say his name for us?
Erling Haaland, of course, he's just an absolute goal scorer machine. I mean, you want him in your team, he just racks up points galore, breaks records galore. Yeah, 17 goals already this season heading into the festive fixtures, like you said. 4 match weeks for every team in the space of 16 days can really kind of make or break your season.
The Premier League is in a huge stretch this holiday season with the biggest names in the game playing 40 matches in 16 days, including the JSN of soccer, Erling Haaland. Tune into NBC and Peacock to catch all the action and set your fantasy football lineups accordingly. For a chance to win a jersey off our wall, send us your fantasy PL lineups.
Yeah, look at
hashtag FFHH. Wow. That's a beauty. And follow our resident soccer expert, Joe Prince-Wright, for the latest Premier League news and updates as you see the Newcastle jersey on the wall.
That is autographed by everyone on Newcastle.
Yep.
And Jay Croucher. I saw him before
the show.
Yeah,
I stuck my name in there.
Nice way to kill the value.
Yeah, exactly.
I stuck my name right next to Bruno Guimaraes in there. So, yeah, Croucher in there too. Yeah.
Weekend Warriors, Week 16, as you see the running back leaders at the top. Yes, that is Ashton Jeanty.
The worst.
At number
this is
2.
so awful. Of all the frustrating things that happened in fantasy this past
Houston.
weekend, Ashton Jeanty, who has been terrible all year from a fantasy perspective, suddenly having his best game of the year against Houston. First off, teams probably that had him that used a first-round pick, they might not have been in the playoffs, and if they were, they probably benched him. And then you're like, now Jeanty decides to go off against Houston? What are you talking about? Career high in scrimmage yards. He had 188. It's his second best fantasy game of the season. Remember, he had that 3-touchdown game in Week 4 as well. But it's the most rushing yards and fantasy points by running back against Houston. To me, the biggest thing here wasn't about that, which is all frustrating, but it's just like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that got drafted. And so assuming they get a competent offense around him next year, Jay, he should be awesome again.
Yeah, it was a reminder. I bet a lot on Travis Hunter to win the Heisman last year, so I was cheering against Ashton Jeanty every week, which was an absolutely miserable experience. Just his low center of gravity kind of just unable to get tackled, particularly right at the goal line. Yeah,
shedding tackles left and right.
Yeah. In a week in which not a lot of people showed up, Connor, Chris Olave did.
Yeah, against the Jets. It was perfect. Caught a touchdown both from Tyler Shuck and Taysom Hill. You'd love to see that just for fun. Chris Olave, by the way, here, Matthew. Only Jamar Chase has more targets than him this year. He's been a very quiet fantasy stud this year.
He's been unbelievable, and especially he has a nice connection with Tyler Shuck. 7 starts for Shuck so far this season, 28% target share, averaging almost 18 fantasy points per game with Shuck under center. Top 5 among wide receivers in targets and receptions this season, as you mentioned. Only Jamar Chase has in both targets and receptions, I should say.
James Cook, another 100-plus rushing yard day for him, Jay. Over the past 2 seasons, only Jahmyr Gibbs has more touchdowns than James Cook.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, all these superstar running backs. James Cook is likely going to lead the NFL in rushing yards this year. And the touchdowns have not regressed nearly as much as we thought they would.
It's insane. He's had the season that Saquon Barkley had last year. He's still not involved in the passing game.
Yeah.
But he's breaking off these long runs, and he's getting the touchdowns.
And they run a ton.
And they run a ton. 14 total touchdowns this season. Over the last 2 seasons, he's got 32. Only Jahmyr Gibbs has more. It's his 9th game this year with 20 more fantasy points. Only Chris McCaffrey has more. James Cook, again, JSN I think is definitely the fantasy MVP, but James Cook is in the conversation because, again, this was somebody that a lot of people, myself included, faded because we thought there would be regression of the touchdowns. That just hasn't happened.
Harold Fannin, welcome back to Weekend Warriors. Almost 20 points, tight end 1 for Harold Fannin. Good things have been happening for Fannin since Shedeur took over, Matthew.
You know what? By the way, I'm coming around on Shedeur.
Wow.
No, I think as we've talked about, he's not as good as some of his most ardent supporters, but he's definitely not as bad as his haters think.
Better than a 5th-round quarterback. The problem is if the Browns picking top 3 right now, might still take one. I don't know what the future is for Shedeur Sanders, but it's good to see him playing some competent football.
Since Week 12, no one has a bigger target share than him, 31%, and he's the 4th best tight end in fantasy since Shedeur took over in Week 12, averaging over 15 fantasy points per game. He got a rushing touchdown in this one. Like, I mean,
Jonnu Smith style.
Jonnu Smith, like they used him in the backfield, I should say. And so, just a great game for Fannin. It feels like whatever they do at quarterback next year, the Browns have found something at the tight end position. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.